Over 9 million Americans suffer from some form of dementia. It's not just one disease, but a range of conditions caused by changes in the brain that affect memory and thinking skills. Dementia is a serious progressive condition. And for the 16 million Americans who are caregivers for these dementia patients, often loved ones or spouses, the journey with them is devastating too. There are no cures or effective long-term treatments. It can be lonely, confusing, and exhausting for both patients and caregivers. But with advancing technology, there is hope for improved quality of life in an unlikely source. Robots, yes. Robotic pets are helping to bring companionship and joy to those suffering in silence and hope for those providing care. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Steve Cohn with Capital Caring Health, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this special program on dementia and robotic companion pets. During this show, we'll explore the relationship between dementia and loneliness. We'll find out who's responsible for making these robots that are providing patients with companionship and comfort. But first, let's meet Patty LaFleur from Seattle, a caregiver for her mom who suffers from dementia.
Hello, Linda.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Oh, hello, hello. It's so good to see you today. Are you ready to make some music with me?
Yes.
So my mom's name is Linda, and she is the most wonderful lady. She has the biggest heart, and she's so friendly, and she's just lovely. And then I'll hold the pink one. Ready? You gotta shake it.
All right. Are we ready? We are ready.
And she was the stay-at-home mom that everyone wished they had. She made sure that we were well-fed and well taken care of and supported. Look, that's me from preschool, and that's you with our dog. And she ran the household. My dad worked at Boeing, and she just ran the household for us.
Can you talk a little bit about when you noticed symptoms that led to the conclusion that she has some form of dementia?
Yeah, so she also has been a type 1 diabetic for over 50 years. So actually one of the first signs for us that she had dementia was because she was forgetting to take her insulin. So she always did a beautiful job managing her diabetes. She was always on top of checking herself and giving herself the insulin that she needed. I mean, she has 0 complications from her diabetes, which is very amazing for having it for so long, and pre-insulin pumps, all of those things. So we found out when she had started to miss insulin dosages. She wasn't able to manage those medications, so it became pretty clear that there was something going on. In addition, she managed the house, right? She paid all of the bills, she took care of the finances, and we started to notice that bills weren't getting paid like they had been, or she was forgetting to send a check off, or she was struggling with even writing the check. So we noticed that as a family, and then we decided to take her to the doctor and kind of explore what could potentially be going on.
When the diagnosis of dementia was given, what kind of changes did you have to deal with in order to make your mom comfortable?
So she had gone to the doctor, they had done a cognitive examination, and then they did the MRI. And when they did the MRI, it revealed that she actually had some brain loss in multiple areas, so they weren't able to pinpoint exactly what kind of dementia it was. So they called it mixed dementia. She was in the early stages of dementia, so there were a lot of things that she was still able to do independently. Bathroom, toileting, showering, dressing.
And about 7 years ago?
About 7 years ago, yeah. So it was 7 years ago that she was diagnosed. She was able to still do a lot of those things, but she was withdrawing from social situations because they were becoming overwhelming. And she's a very happy person, but she was sad. She was more sad than normal. She was crying a lot more. And so at first it was a lot of those emotional changes and kind of coming to terms with that diagnosis. As the dementia has progressed like it is, and she's in the mid to late stages now, there's a lot more adaptations that I have to make. She needs help with most things at this point. She's able to feed herself. She's able to brush her teeth. She's still very happy. We have lots of fun. You ready? Pizza? You gotta sit here. Popcorn? Yes. Look, Popcorn's so excited. She's even barking. She's so excited. But there are a lot of the independence things that she's completely dependent on me for.
I've been very excited to meet her two doggy companions, who I think you've named Popcorn and Pizza.
Yeah, she named them.
Okay. And so how did you come about these companion robotic pets?
Yeah, at the time we had a caregiver who was coming into our home, and she had said, well, I've seen these robotic animals from Joy for All Pets, and I think that maybe you could try that. So I ordered the first one, Popcorn, and I didn't know what her response would be, and we gave it to her, and she hasn't put Popcorn down since. Popcorn goes everywhere with us. She goes to doctor's appointments, she goes on vacations with us, she sits with us on the couch, she eats with us, we do music class with her, we do art class. She even has like a little artist hat she wears for when we have art class.
She's a companion like a dog should be.
Yep, and then we had Popcorn, and then about 3 months after that, maybe a little longer, they came out with the other dog, this freckled pup, and so then of course we had to get that one. So now we have Popcorn and Pizza.
It's so nice that you're spreading the word about the effect that these companion robotic pets have with your mom. And can you tell me a little bit about the social media interactions that you do?
Yeah, in posting about my mom online, I found a whole group of people that were exactly like me, in their 20s, in their 30s, that were caring for their parents. We just all shared what we were doing, and we just learned together. I learned about caring for my mom by being part of a community. People that are in the beginning of their journey, they see some of the things that I do with my mom, like these wonderful robot dogs, and they purchase them and they try them with their family. I think just raising awareness around the fact that having these robotic pets brings companionship, and it just brings her joy and love in a situation where she's having a lot of care done to her. She still gets to be a caregiver with her robot dogs.
That's a great point. And I've noticed, by the way, that Popcorn and Pizza have their own little collars, which just like a live dog would have.
Totally.
And I also understand that you're introducing 2 new dogs into the household, 2 new robotic companion dogs. Now, are they going to be Popcorn 2 and Pizza 2, or?
I really believe in reading my mom. So I really try to think as a caregiver, I use the word care partner, about what she wants. What do you think? So I'm gonna kind of let her take the lead.
Sure.
We'll introduce Popcorn and Pizza, and if she feels like, ooh, this is a new dog, then okay, you wanna hold Popcorn?
Yeah.
That's Popcorn, right?
This is Popcorn.
I think it's just such a great way to find joy.
Joy for all, right?
Totally, and I feel like so often we think of the hard parts of dementia. Is that too exciting?
Yeah, that's a lot of excitement.
These dogs have helped really for us to see that there's still so much love in dementia.
Thank you, Patty, for sharing your story with us. It sure is inspirational for other caregivers and people suffering from dementia. Like Patty's mom, millions of Americans suffer from dementia, and thousands of new cases are identified each year. Alzheimer's disease is a form of dementia that most people have heard about, and it makes up between 60 to 70% of those cases. In the United States, an estimated 5.8 million Americans have Alzheimer's dementia. Families generally cannot afford the average $4,300 monthly cost of facility-based dementia care, and so they struggle on their own for as long as feasible. The result is often isolation and loneliness. Dr. Leanne West can tell us more about what these patients and caregivers experience. Leanne, thanks so much for joining me today, and can you tell the audience a little bit about how dementia affects people as they age?
Great question, Stephen. Thanks so much for having me here today. As we know, dementia is becoming more and more of a prevalent issue that's affecting aging Americans staying at home. What we do know within the medical community that dementia often presents differently for each patient, but it is a chronic progressive condition for which we have no cure. This only becomes more compounded, as you can imagine, during times of COVID and pandemic, really lending itself to people feeling more isolated and lonely.
Sure. You and I have talked about this before, but for the audience, loneliness and dementia, I guess you see that a lot, right?
Absolutely, and loneliness takes multiple forms. Loneliness not just for the patient who feels socially isolated from their loved ones, their family, their day-to-day routine, but also the people that are home with them, the caregivers, the ones that love them and are with them day to day.
And caregivers, speaking of caregivers, how does dementia affect a caregiver? I'm sure it's very tough, right?
Absolutely, and what we find among caregivers is that largely it tends to be a role reversal later in life. Many of them may not have a background, obviously, working in healthcare, and they're now being faced with being the caregiver for a loved one when, in fact, previous to that, they were the child. And so in as much as they're trying to have their parent to be safe and to be intact and managing behaviors that are up and down day to day, by virtue of the schedule and the work they're doing and having to stay home with the one they're caring for, are often socially isolated as well.
And that reminds me of companionship. Companionship for dementia patients and caregivers. What is that all about?
Well, I think it gets back to the premise that as human beings, we connect through love, through nurture, through touch. We're tactile creatures. And that often when we're approaching end of life, we've lost our roles and responsibilities of purpose, job, even practicing day-to-day ADLs. We're looking outwardly to somebody else to care for us. So it puts the focus and emphasis on someone or something outside of themselves.
Another question with regard to our robotic pet friends. I've heard that in some cases, folks with dementia can actually have their meds reduced as a result of interaction with these pets. Have you seen any evidence of that?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest complaints that I face as an internist, especially as a hospice physician, is challenging and working through some of the behaviors, keeping a loved one safe, who at times may become explosive, agitated, depressed, even to the point of hallucinating. More often than not, the traditional medical community, the answer would be sedatives, hypnotics, more medication to the point of sedation. What we have found that with the use of robotic pets and therapy program is that the need for polypharmacy is actually less, and that through self-soothing, tactile stimulation, that the need for some of these psychotropics are actually reduced.
That's fantastic. And interactions with robotic pets, with dementia patients. I hear, for instance, that patients will name these pets after pets they actually had, growing up. Have you seen the interaction occur, and what takes place?
Absolutely. It's really a beautiful thing to witness, and I often say that I have the greatest job. The privilege is mine for being welcomed into patients' and families' homes at the final moments of life. But that often for our advanced dementia patients, they naturally revert back to a place and time that was pleasurable, that gave them great memories. And that certainly speaks to the attachment to pets and the animals that they loved. So more often than not, we find that our patients will name or rename the robotic pets to really mirror a pet that they cared for in their youth.
That's fantastic. And as I like to say with robotic pets, no feeding, no pooping, no shedding, no kidding.
Low maintenance.
Yeah.
And you know, the beauty of that too, and I can say this as a healthcare professional, is that often many of our patients are in these acute care facilities, Georgetown, Hopkins, that have restrictions to pets in that environment, which comes in the face of what we feel philosophically as hospice doctors. We want to bring the care and everybody that loves you around you. This is something that hospitals will allow and they would welcome with open arms.
And caregivers benefit too, right?
Absolutely. So again, it gets back to the premise of social isolation, which again has been compounded during COVID and this pandemic, where largely people are still socially distancing even with access to vaccinations. That the caregivers are at home are often sitting vigil, waiting for their loved one to really become agitated, fall risk, getting distracted. By having these robotic pets, it gets their loved one task-oriented, focused, calm, so that they can get back to the other tasks at hand.
Yeah. For folks without dementia, they love these pets as well, and of course, caregivers interact, and I'm sure you see the caregiver enjoy having the pet there too.
Absolutely. I think part of the challenge is when you have a loved one at home with advanced dementia is not only keeping them safe, but giving them a purpose outside of themselves. And the beauty of this, it doesn't require close supervision. It's interactive, it's intimate physical touching between this pet therapy robotic animal and the patient. And by being soothing and reducing the agitation combativeness, the caregiver can then feel free to step away and do other things that he or she may want to do, but for fear of safety doesn't.
Well, Leanne, this has been great. Thanks so much for, educating all of us about dementia, which is increasing as we speak, and also the great benefits that robotic pets bring to folks, both the caregiver and the patient. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having me, Steve.
And coming up, I'll introduce you to the company that makes these companions, and we'll find out how a toy for kids became such an impactful assistive technology. Here at Capital Caring Health, we are working to provide, free of charge, companion pets with advanced robotics like Kibbles and Butterscotch. They both would love to be in the lap of a dementia sufferer, brightening their days and nights in so many wonderful ways. We hope to provide these pets to over 5,000 of your neighbors suffering from Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. Plus, you can also order a pet for your own family. So please, visit our website today at capitalcaring.org/companionpets. With support from you and other viewers, these amazing pets will do wonders for so many families. Again, please visit capitalcaring.org/companionpets. Thank you. There are a lot of studies that have been done on robotic companion pets and their effectiveness at improving overall quality of life and care for older adults. These studies show consistent themes of reduced feelings of isolation and loneliness and improved quality of care and life for older adults and families and care providers. They also show reduced use of medication, increased cognitive activity, increased feelings of purpose, and reduced burden of care for care partners. I'd like to introduce you to the CEO of Ageless Innovation, the company that makes these companion pets, to get the inside scoop. Ted, thanks for joining me today, and I see you've brought a couple of your pals with you.
Yeah, absolutely. These are our companion pets, and thanks so much for having me.
Can you tell me about the history of these pets and how you have focused them on older adults?
So our company is Ageless Innovation, but we started as part of Hasbro. And so about 2015, I was brought in to lead this new innovation team focused on, leveraging Hasbro's assets in new markets and new channels. And our team chose healthcare and health and wellness as sort of an area where we felt what Hasbro was great at, the ability to engage, gamify, help create meaningful connections. We thought those things would be really valuable in the healthcare space. Yeah. As we did our research, we found that there were products 20 years earlier that were intended for 4 to 8-year-old girls. That was the category at the time. And when we looked back at the reviews, about 20% of the reviews were, the cat's printing for you now. About 20% of the reviews were mom not buying it for their 4 to 8-year-old daughter, but buying it for an aging loved one. And so we started to really lean into that and started going out to, assisted living, nursing homes, memory care, and just kind of talking to older adults and seeing, what it is that they're looking for. Yeah. And we found that, two really fundamental, sort of pillar insights. One was that older adults definitely want more fun, joy, and play in their life. So that's number one. And number two, there was this need for interactive companionship that, was an epidemic that really wasn't talked about at the time. But loneliness and isolation is going to kill more older adults than cigarettes and heart attacks combined over the next 30 years.
Good point.
So that's really what we wanted to address. And so we launched the brand in 2015, and we've been on an amazing journey since then.
So they bring joy to so many people, and the name that you've come up with is Joy for All. I think it's a great name. Can I credit you with coming up with that?
No, but you can credit, I was part of the team that came up with it. But in our Hasbro days, what I found, and I thought when we named this brand, this was going to be pretty easy. And it turns out naming a brand is not that easy. And so we were trying to get the essence of what we were trying to convey, what the product was, be a little more descriptive. Yeah. And there's a really rigorous process at Hasbro as it relates to this stuff. So we're in a room with about 30, writers and creative folks, and we pass a piece of paper around. You're allowed allowed to put one word that, on the paper and pass it to the next person. And, we did that a few different times in hours of work. And, we came up with Joy for All. And it really was, obviously the joy and the happiness part's obvious, but we were trying to promote, how can we help people know that this is not something for kids, which Hasbro's famous for,
right.
But they had never launched a brand for older adults. And so this idea of Joy for All really sort of was more inclusive, and we think we're so happy that ended up being the name.
So, as a matter of fact, I have 2 of these in my office at Capital Caring Health, and every morning when I walk in, they greet me. Can you explain a little about how that actually works?
There's sensors and motors and technology inside, and we try not to talk about that as much. We talk about the magic and the features. And the features were all things that were told to us by older adults. So some of the things we heard were they wanted realism, they wanted affordability, things like tapered whiskers and paw pads, and things that really were what they remembered about their pets. So for instance, the cat, we heard the cats vibrate when they purr. And so we created this technology called VibraPurr. In the pup, we were trying to replicate that tactile interaction, and so the pup has a subtle heartbeat that you feel as it starts to calm down and acting less like a puppy. So, things like the cat never does what cats never do what you want them to do.
I think you mentioned to me once that they're actually programmed to be random, like real cats. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, the cats. It is what it is. Cats don't do what you want them to do when you want them to do it. So we tried to create that, and so just because you pet its back doesn't mean you're going to get a meow. Or
I can't reach the dog, but
he's a little more predictable.
Yeah. And the great thing is that these pets have proven so beneficial for folks with dementia. Can you talk about, that and how that came to be and what you all have discovered in terms of benefits for dementia patients?
Sure. In the beginning when we set out, really what we were trying to do is create a fun, engaging, joyful product. And we really wanted to, and as the user testimonials started to come in, the reviews started to come in, it was an overwhelming number of reviews about the positive impact on people with dementia and Alzheimer's. And that actually caught the eye of clinicians and academics who wanted to take the anecdotal evidence and prove it out. And so now we have about a dozen published research, right. Papers and journals. And in that, the type of things that, that are being suffered by people with Alzheimer's, anxiety and really difficulty in transition. And what it's been proven to do is add resilience, add sort of positive feelings, less depression, those type of things. And not only is it great for the older adult, but it's been great for the caregivers and the loved ones, helping them through the difficult situations and transitions that happen in a normal day with caring for someone with Alzheimer's.
And I understand, I think you mentioned to me once that they actually, a lot of dementia patients name these little guys after pets that they actually had in the past.
Yeah, I think that's pretty universal.
Is this, I think, Butterscotch?
That's Butterscotch and that's Whisper.
Whisper?
Yeah. So we've got, we name them too. So I think it's pretty universal, and it's something that I think it's part of the importance of that idea of affordability. What we try to create is a one-to-one model. There's a lot of social robotics out there that are very expensive. That are a one-to-many model. Not that they're not doing great things, it's just really difficult for somebody to afford a multi-$1,000 type of a robot. But to have something that's affordable that they not only can name, but actually treat as their own. And part of the magic is that caring for something or someone. And again, we're not trying to fool anybody to think that these are real. What we've discovered is there's just a lot of people who can't have pets at certain stages of their life. And we've tried to create something that...
Or they're in a situation where live pets aren't allowed.
Correct. Residential, could be residential, it could be health, there's a number of reasons.
And also, it's easy, you just flip one switch, right?
Yeah, the simplicity piece is really important. And, take it out of the box, you name it Butterscotch, and sort of the magic starts.
Ted, thanks so much for coming today. Here at Capital Caring Health, we are working to provide, free of charge, companion pets with advanced robotics like Kibbles and Butterscotch. They both would love to be in the lap of a dementia sufferer, brightening their days and nights in so many wonderful ways. We hope to provide these pets to over 5,000 of your neighbors suffering from Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. Plus, you can also order a pet for your own family. So please, visit our website today at capitalcaring.org/companionpets. With support from you and other viewers, these amazing pets will do wonders for so many families. Again, please visit capitalcaring.org/companionpets. Thank you. This year is the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War, which went on for 20 years and saw 9 million men and women serving in the armed forces. After the last troops left Saigon, their sacrifices were often ignored and forgotten. I saw that firsthand in many ways through my friendship with a decorated Green Beret named Arthur Brooks. Arthur introduced me to a group of veterans who, at the time, were trying to get the government to allow a memorial for over 50,000 killed in that war. I was honored to help them raise the funds in the early 1980s that eventually led to the building of the Vietnam War Memorial in Washington, D.C. All these years later, there is an amazing and simple way to help the nearly 1.5 million Vietnam-era veterans suffering from the devastation of dementia, half of them afflicted by Alzheimer's. That is why Capital Caring Health is leading the way in our nation's capital and nationally on the goal of providing a robotic companion pet to every veteran diagnosed with debilitating dementia. These pets are proven to bring calm and delight to veterans and others suffering from dementia. I have seen this up close and personal, the amazing and immediate transformation in their behavior when handed one of these pets. Plus, often the medications they are on can be reduced. Additionally, since having dementia usually precludes caring for live pets, this is a simple and wonderful solution. Veterans and their families do have access to many support services, but none of these provide this low-cost and lasting high-impact way to bring a smile and around-the-clock joy to a dementia-stricken veteran. I hope you will join with me now in supporting what we call our Pets for Vets program. Every $300 contribution, which is fully tax deductible, allows us to provide 2 pets to 2 veteran families with a loved one coping with dementia. $1,000 provides for 10 pets, $5,000 for 50 pets. You can learn more about these pets and how they respond to sound, sight, and touch, just like real pets, by going to capitalcaring.org/companionpets. Let's, together, make sure that we haven't forgotten how to transform a veteran's life from sad and confused to happy and joyful by contributing what we can to our Pets for Vets fund. Thank you. Here at Capital Caring Health, we are working to provide, free of charge, companion pets with advanced robotics like Kibbles and Butterscotch. They both would love to be in the lap of a dementia sufferer, brightening their days and nights in so many wonderful ways. We hope to provide these pets to over 5,000 of your neighbors suffering from Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. Plus, you can also order a pet for your own family. So please, visit our website today at capitalcaring.org/companionpets. With support from you and other viewers, these amazing pets will do wonders for so many families. Again, please visit capitalcaring.org/companionpets. Thank you.